Back with another episode today on the Real Steele Pod. We have a special one for y'all today as usual. My younger brother, Luke Altmyer, quarterback at Illinois. We had a great conversation, very, long-awaited conversation just because of our schedules. We finally got it set up. So yeah, it was a great conversation. Be sure to like, comment, be in the comments about what y'all want to see next, who y'all want to see next on the Real Steele Pod, and what y'all want to see in the future with this channel. And also hit that subscribe button for us. And let's just grow this channel together. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
All right. Welcome back to another episode on the Real Steele Pod, episode 5. We got another special guest today. Luke Altmyer, my brother, goes to Illinois. It's been a long time coming. Thanks for joining the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be on.
For sure. So we'll just take it back, just early beginnings. Just you played everything, football, basketball, baseball. What kind of showed you that football was going to be your way, just through life, honestly?
Yeah, I didn't really know what my future was gonna look like as a young kid. Cause like you said, we grew up playing everything, even soccer when we were really little, and was a big baseball player. I loved basketball, and football was always a dream of mine because I always grew up watching, and I loved it. And I love watching great players play quarterback, the position, and always dreamed and hoped that I could just one day kind of be like those quarterbacks I looked up to, and played it along with baseball and basketball, and ended up having some success early as a freshman, and kind of took a chance of dropping baseball and basketball and sticking with football. And luckily, God, put me in a great position around some good people who propelled me to my successes, and thankful that it played out the way it did.
Yeah, for sure. How tough was that decision to make for football? Because, like you said, you like basketball and baseball, and you were good at those too. Like, what made you choose football as that most favorite sport you like and see yourself being the most successful at?
Yeah, it was really difficult because even to this day, I think I still love basketball the most.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've grown up around it with our dad playing basketball and him having a lot of success doing it, and you and Whit playing basketball like y'all do. I've just grown up around it, and I still love it to this day. I love going out and shooting, and it was so hard dropping that. And,
Yeah.
Just choosing football and even baseball too. I was a lot of people thought that was going to be my path, and having to move on from that, it was really difficult because I didn't know what my football future would be like. But I kind of just trusted God with the path that I was taking, and having a little bit of success with my football as a ninth grader. I had a belief that I could really, do some things and do well and at the sport, and I loved it. And like I said, I looked up to a lot of people at Mississippi State doing it as a young kid and wanted to play at that stage one day. And thankfully, God has placed that in my lap.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about it and just touched on it. Ninth grade at Starkville High. Like, how was that process as being a young guy? To learn from the older guys just kind of how things were, and then obviously working your way up to being that starter, being the guy there. Like, how was that whole process at Starkville High?
Yeah, it was a journey. It was like you said, it was a process because Starkville High is no joke. They're a high level program, and the highest level of Mississippi classification. They're 7A football now, and I really didn't have much football background growing up. My dad, our dad, I didn't really play, or grandparents didn't really play, so I was kind of just taking a leap of faith, trying to just fit in and to play. But yeah, it was a process. But luckily, like I said, I had a lot of great people around me. Coach Jones specifically, who walked me through all the steps and the process that I needed to take to grow into that role of being a starter, and had a lot of great teammates around me who were really talented, and teammates I still keep up with to this day, and who helped me out and made me look good in a lot of ways. So I think ultimately it was just the people around me who really molded me into the player that I was at Starkville High.
Yeah. What about, you talked about Coach Jones, who are some other influential people that kind of helped you mold into the quarterback you are now?
Yeah, like I said before, I looked up to a lot of Mississippi State quarterbacks, and I think the first one I ever looked up to was Tyson Lee, quarterback who played, and the first one I really remember. And our family has a really close relationship with their family, and with them being from Columbus and us being from Columbus, obviously. And I remember my first training sessions were with him, and out here in our backyard. So to say he was a big influence on my, my football career is an understatement. And a lot of assistant coaches too at Starkville High who
Mhm.
were, first class and did a great job with me and, just growing relationships there. And, I think Tyson Lee is kind of the main one who really um, helped my love for football kind of blossom. And Coach Jones too, obviously, like we talked about. But um, so many different people. But I think I could write a book about it. But
Yeah. Mhm.
and teammates too. So yeah, really just thankful for all those people.
Yeah. So what would you say? Obviously, y'all had some really good teams, but didn't really win a state championship, but you get really close every year. What were some highlight moments that you remember, just whether it's just teammates in the locker room or before the game, after the game, during the game? What are some highlight moments throughout that Starkville High career?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was just with Coach Jones actually, like a couple hours ago,
Mm.
and we were talking about some of the best teams we played against and best
Yeah.
players we played against. Is the Nakobe Deans and the Horn Lakes and
Yeah.
the JJ Pegueses, at Oxford and the West Point teams, and
Mhm.
so many great opponents and so many great seasons of great competition. And
Mhm.
I think that was the most fun of the whole process was just the competition we played against week in and week out, and playing at the highest level at our state, and
Mhm.
that was fun. And I think obviously one of the coolest memories is kind of the first game that I got to start. I think it was my sophomore year, and we played
Mhm.
Knoxville at home, and
Yeah.
I just remember it was raining and a few touchdowns that game
Mhm.
was. It was really cool to start off that way, and I remember my first game as a senior away against West Point
Yeah. I remember.
during COVID, and having a great game. And after a long year of COVID
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
a long year of um, West Point beat us the year before, so
Mhm.
really wanting that revenge type aspect of the game and having a great game. That game was always
Yeah.
a memory that I'll
Mhm.
remember for a long time.
Yeah. Well, you wrap that chapter up in the book, Start High, and you start kind of going to camps and prospect camps, even before your senior year. Like, how was that process of kind of getting into the camp aspect and which ones to go to? Like, what feedback you were getting, just the whole process of that.
Yeah, it was a process, and it was a whirlwind of trying to figure out which camps to go to, which camps
Mm-hmm.
not to go to, which the coaches talking to me, and how serious were those coaches about me coming to visit and going to those camps. But I try to do as much as I can. The ones I thought that mattered, the team camps, the college camps, and obviously a big camp that I went to was the Elite 11, and
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of competing and seeing where I stacked up against some of the best quarterbacks and all of the nation. Caleb Williams, Drake Mays, all those guys, JJ McCarthy's, and being able to compete alongside those guys at the high school level at those camps were just real fun and great core memories.
Yeah. What would you say to some young quarterbacks or just young football players going to these camps? Like, what would you give some advice to them, like when pursuing camps and what they need to kind of take away from those camps?
Yeah, I think the important thing is, first of all, is what camps are you going to, and what camps are you saying yes to. A lot of these camps around the country are kind of just money grabs.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just want to get your money and kind of get out and
Mm-hmm.
grow their brand. But I think the really important camps are the ones where the actual college coaches are in relationships with you,
Mm-hmm.
where you're going to go to the camp and those coaches are going to invest in you and watch you um, and spend time with you. Those are the main camps that are most beneficial and were most beneficial to me. And that takes some time. Not many coaches are going to talk to you as a seventh or
Yeah.
eighth grader.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but as you grow into your role as a starter and a quarterback and have some success, some coaches will reach out, and it's important to develop those relationships and go to those camps if those coaches want you to. But the Elite 11 was a great camp that I went
Mm-hmm.
to. I didn't know I was going to be in kind of the finals type
Yeah.
situation. I just kind of went to a camp and got some great exposure there. And there's some Under Armour camps, but the most important ones are the kind of team camps
Mm-hmm.
where the coaches are actually in relationship with you.
Yeah, I think that even the 7-on-7 stuff in the summer, those were pretty cool. Like when y'all went to state and
Oh yeah,
Bama, Ole Miss, those were pretty cool. I don't know how much like recruiting that was, but those
yeah.
were pretty high level competitions as
Yeah,
well.
the 7-on-7s were some of my best memories at
Mm-hmm.
high school. I love them. I still talk, to my old teammates about them, and we
Mm-hmm.
had so much fun during the summer with that. But yeah, you go to those 7-on-7 camps at those colleges, and
Mm-hmm.
those coaches are out there watching
Yeah,
you. Best believe it. And they may not can talk to you directly, but they definitely see you.
yeah.
So that's a that was a big deal for me too. Going to the Mississippi State, Ole Miss camps, and we went to an Alabama camp too, and
Mm-hmm.
competing our tails off,
Yeah.
and just so those coaches would notice us, and
Mm-hmm.
so that we could
Yeah.
win and play another game, and more coaches would
Mm-hmm.
watch. So it was always cool, just competing at the highest level and doing what we can to get noticed, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So you start kind of getting some offers at ninth grade, if I'm not mistaken. Your first one was Memphis. Coach Norvell was still in Memphis. Like, talk about getting that first offer and just kind of seeing it kind of come to fruition a little bit.
Yeah, it happened really early, and it happened really fast. It's kind of hard to remember, kind of the time of year it was and things like that. But I do remember the phone call
Mm,
with Coach Norvell, and like I said, had a relationship with him, and actually
mm,
went to a camp where, like we were talking about having that camp
mm,
experience where coaches were in relationships with you, and that coaching staff was talking to me, and I went to a camp and I guess performed pretty well, and had a relationships. And I remember in ninth grade, I guess, and having a phone call with him, and him giving me an offer, and it was just a crazy surreal moment with our family, and
mm,
um, I remember it, and like it was yesterday here in this house, and
mm,
just the joy on inside of me and our family was
mm.
really cool to kind of see. It started really early, and I'm so thankful for it, and really blessed. But it started a journey of of a tough process to kind
Yeah,
of narrow things down to kind of pick where I went to school at Ole Miss.
yeah. Well, I talk about that process because you just touched on it. Getting that first offer and then kind of snowballing into more offers, more coaches reaching out. Like, talk to everybody about just the stressful process, strenuous process of a day to day, just communication with coaches, like them always, in contact with you, and like you said, further in your career at Ole Miss. Like, talk us through that decision.
Yeah, so the NCAA is the way it works, I guess, is once you like when I was in high school, I think your junior year, September 1st, is when those coaches can really start calling you and texting you
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. They can always, offer you as a young kid, but they can't, text with you, call
Mm-hmm.
with you, and things like that. You have to reach out to them, which was kind of a stressful thing to do
Mm-hmm.
because, you're kind of wondering where, what eggs you want to put into what basket,
Mm-hmm.
and what coaches you wanted to call first, what coaches you want to reach out to, and things like that. But once kind of that period of your junior year starts to hit, those coaches really start calling you. And I was thankful to be in a position where I had a lot of opportunities, and it was stressful because there was a lot of coaches calling,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of phone calls, a lot of FaceTimes, and during COVID, it was even more stressful because that even created more of the communication over the phone and things like that, and with not being able to visit certain places. But it certainly is stressful having to, balance all of that with
Yeah,
different teams, different coaches, and but it was uh, a blessing and something I'd always dreamed about.
yeah. Well, talk us through kind of the Florida State original commit to Coach Norvell. Like, what led you to that decision, and also like what led to stepping away from that decision and kind of reopening your recruitment.
Yeah, I was committed to Florida State for about 8 or 9 months, and felt so strong about those guys. Mainly because of the relationships that I had with their
Mm-hmm.
coaching staff. We all know Mike Norvell is their coach now, and we talked about how he was the first one who offered me in Memphis, and that goes a long way with really understanding that he really believed in me first, and like I said, it really went a long way, and kind of played a really big role into my decision of committing there at Florida State. And I love their program, I love their history, their traditions, and I thought it'd be really cool to be a part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
to play quarterback at Florida State was really a really cool thing to dream about. And um, kind of once COVID hit, I wasn't able to
Yeah.
really visit
Mm-hmm.
Florida State at all. So it was really difficult to envision myself there. They were having some struggles and weren't winning a lot of games, but now they're one of the best teams in the country. So it's
For
just
sure.
a crazy world. But
Yeah.
wasn't able to visit Tallahassee because
Mhm.
of the COVID thing. It was hard to kind of see myself so far away from home um, as a high school kid during that time. So decided to step away from that opportunity and explore other options.
So you talk about exploring other options. What were kind of those final schools that you were really pursuing, and also they were pushing towards you? What were some of those schools, kind of in that list?
Yeah, I think it came down to a final three with Florida State, Ole Miss, and Alabama.
Mhm.
I think every kid's dream offer is Alabama, and
Yeah.
having Nick Saban in your ear is, really, really cool. And that played a part in my decommitment to Florida State, and thinking that I could really go play at a school that was,
Yeah.
ultimately successful in all that they do, and being a part of that program was a dream. And but chips didn't fall where I wanted them to fall, and they had a quarterback commit there, Jalen Milroe, and
Yeah.
didn't want to go to be a part of a class with two quarterbacks. And Ole Miss was always there, really a team that wanted me and pursued me, and thought that was a great opportunity. One, staying home, and two, they had a lot of success with their teams and Coach Kiffin, and they were doing some good things. So I thought that was a great opportunity for me to pursue.
So what else would you say kind of gravitated you towards Ole Miss? Like, was it just kind of like the offense, and like more so just the success factor, or just kind of talk about that?
Yeah, they were, like I said, Coach Kiffin and his track record of his offenses, and the successes he had winning the national championship at Alabama as an offensive coordinator is no secret. His track record is second to none almost. And with Matt Corral doing some of the things he was doing was super attractive to me, and made me want to be a part of that program. I had some familiarity with it just from me being in Mississippi, and it being so close to home, I think, was a big deal. But ultimately, I felt that's where God was leading me to, and I knew He wanted to plant me there, and so I could do His work there. And I felt like that was a great opportunity for me, and had a great 2 years there.
Yeah. So, what would you say the biggest differences? Because you were in high school, now you were in college. What were some the key adjustments you had to kind of overcome? Learning the college system, just college way. Like, talk to just the young guys out there that are wondering that process. They might be just now transitioning.
Yeah, I think that one of the hardest times of my life was that first semester there at Ole Miss, with starting football and starting school and learning how to balance all that. But just the learning curve from high school football to college football is a huge curve, with the offense and the schematically, and learning a new playbook, and learning new verbiage, and so many different things being thrown at you all at once, with playing against a lot of great players too. And the speed of the game is different, a lot of bigger and better players.
Yeah.
So it was a lot being thrown at me at once, and it took me a minute to get adjusted. But I love the game, and
Yeah.
so I think the love of the game really just made me want to learn even more, learn the offense even faster, learn to be great at everything that I did, and learn from some of the great players that played there, like Matt Corral and some other seniors, and had some guys like that take me under their wing, and just try to put my head down and put one foot in front of the other, and um, you know found some success throughout my early days there.
Yeah, you just touched on it about like Matt Corral and those guys. Like, how big was that just coming right in, and they were open their arms up to you and take you under their wing? Like, how big of an impact was that on you?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest deal, was having some of those players like Matt Corral and Nick Broker, and some other guys like that, who kind of walked me through my journey. They had been there as freshmen, and kind of helped me throughout the early stages of uh, my freshman career, my mistakes, and helping me learn from those, and seeing the way they worked and the way they led, and the way they were in the locker room with the guys was really just cool to observe. And I think that was the biggest thing, is just observing them and seeing how they did things, and which I still take and learn today from so many other guys too, and super thankful for those guys, and still staying in touch with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you just said you 2 years at Ole Miss. Like, what are some things you kind of took away because you were in a quarterback battle your second year? Like, how was that process? I know up and down process, but kind of how, like, what did you take away from that process? The process that's kind of helped you now as at your new school.
Yeah, it was a really difficult, really strenuous, a really uh, I don't want to say a hard time, but it was a very a time of hard work,
Yeah.
and really test your dedication,
Mm,
every single day, because each day, throughout that competition was evaluation with
mm,
um trying to win that spot and
mm,
win that job. So um it was difficult at times. It was very
mm.
rewarding at times. It was a lot of fun throughout the whole process, but a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a
Yeah.
lot of ups and downs, and I think it taught me so much. Obviously about the game, and but more about life.
Mm,
It threw a lot of curveballs at
yeah.
me, and like I said, a lot of up and downs, and things weren't always easy. So it taught me so much about life, and how life can be hard, it can be difficult, but it taught me to kind of just put one foot in front of the other, stay in the moment, and just do what you can to get better, each day, and I think that's what helped me the most.
Yeah. So you decided to put your name in the portal. Like, how was that process? Obviously, I was here. I kind of oversaw, kind of watched kind of how that unfolded, but just talk to everybody about like how that process was, who was reaching out, like what all visits you got to go on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a stressful process, because being in the portal, there's not a lot of time
Yeah.
that you have to kind of pick a destination,
Hmm.
pick a home that you want to go to, and wondering what coaches were going to reach out and what coaches were going to pursue you was always a stressful time and a stressful situation to kind of wonder and think about. But
Hmm.
luckily I had some great options coming out of the portal, and in that short amount of time, and we're able to take a few visits, and
Hmm.
I went to Illinois, went to Coastal Carolina, and
Hmm.
had a lot of other schools talking to me, such as South Carolina, Baylor, North Carolina State, Virginia, and um, was thankful to have some of the schools reach out to me. And ultimately, I felt like Illinois was a great situation for me to come play and be a part of a team that was had a winning culture with Coach Bielema, and trusted what he was selling to me, and
Hmm.
the people that I encountered there were super authentic and
Hmm.
genuine, and I loved the spot, and so that kind of led me to Illinois.
Yeah. So you talked about Coach B. Like, what stood out about him and him, like Coach Lunny and every other coordinator and coach, like you said, all your encounters. What kind of stood out about those people that you could kind of see yourself there?
Yeah, I think they were just super genuine people,
Hmm.
very authentic, very family oriented people, and throughout the whole process, I just wanted to go to a place where I felt valued and believed in, and I think that's what Coach B kind of hit on the most, was he was gonna value me more than I've ever been valued before, and
Hmm.
believe in me through all of my ups and downs, and that was such a big deal to me, and I think that's what sold me the most, was he was going to believe in me and value me throughout my career, and I felt like that's all I needed to hear, really.
Right. So you commit to Illinois, get there in January, go through spring, summer, and then year one rolls around for Illinois. Just talk about your first year playing for the Illini and, some favorite moments and, just kind of your overall outlook on that first year.
Yeah, it was a process and a journey. Kind of getting back into a role of a starter, and learning how to play football again, because
Yeah.
for 2 years at Ole Miss, I didn't play a whole lot. Played a little bit here and there, but never a time where I was solidified playing for a long amount of time. So
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
it was a learning curve again, and but it was a ton of fun. Had some successes, had some mistakes, but like I said, it's part of it. It's just like life, and threw a lot of curveballs at me, and tested my faith and my strength, day in and day out, and but had a great time, and loved every single day of it, the good and the bad, and obviously the season didn't turn out the way we imagined it, but I'm so confident in moving forward this coming season and getting back to playing winning football and learning really and making my biggest jump year 1 to year
Yeah.
2 as a starter and at this level. And I'm super confident in that.
Yeah, for sure. Who would you say were some guys that took you under their wing, like you said at Ole Miss, like Illinois, new school, new everything, had to adjust on the fly? Like, how was that process, and who kind of helped you throughout that process to kind of get accustomed and adjusted to everything?
Yeah, I think obviously the coaches were great and kind of helping me adjust and helping making sure I was comfortable. And I think one coach in particular, Art Sikowski, a guy who was in his first year of coaching and had played at Illinois for 3 years, I think, or two, and was a quarterback, and invested so much time into me to make sure I was taken care of, comfortable, and worked with me throughout my early stages there, and was such a big impact on me and influence on me. But guys like Casey Washington and Isaiah Williams and some of the O linemen were
Yeah.
just arms open to me and so welcoming, and was so thankful for that, and really was hoping that I would be planted around great people. And I think that was an understatement. I'm around so many great people at Illinois, and so thankful for that.
Yeah. Talk about sort of a leadership aspect too. You're walking to a new locker room. Like, how did you approach being a new guy in the room and trying to lead a team, when you are the new guy?
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult part of the whole process because I was growing into that role there at Ole Miss, and I was really becoming really really vocal and kind of being a voice of a team and there at Ole Miss, and having to transition to going to a new place at Illinois and being around all new people, all new teammates, coaching staff, support staff, things like that. And it was a process of kind of just learning names and growing relationships and individually. So eventually I could speak in big groups and lead in big groups and things like that. And but it's super difficult. It was super difficult uh, to kind of be patient in that aspect.
Yeah. So you talked about year 1 to year 2 jump. Like, what are some things you see yourself having to improve or working on kind of in the off season to, be a better quarterback for the Illini or just be a better teammate or whatever that may be?
Yeah, I think one of the things I value the most is being a great teammate, and so I'm always trying to work, on that aspect of, of my life and being a better leader and more vocal for my guys and things like that. And being a quarterback, there's so many things you can work on, physically, to get better at your position, just to work on your craft and things like that. But um, other than that, there's so many things that I can work on. I think the biggest thing is the best teacher is experience, and luckily I was able to get some experience this year to really propel me into this coming year, and I think that'll be huge for me. And I think that's really it. Being a better leader, being a better teammate, working on my physical game as a quarterback and mechanically and things like that, and having that experience to really grow from year 1 to year 2 will really makes me feel confident.
Absolutely. So, new Big Ten realignment, how do you feel about that? Obviously, some exciting games kind of on the schedule. What would you say are some goals, team goals, individual goals, any goals you have for this new realignment, new schedule, and anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's freaking really cool.
Yeah.
With the additions of some of those Pac-12 teams like Washington, USC, UCLA, and Oregon, and having the chance to play against those teams and compete against those teams will be freaking awesome. And being able to travel across the country and play in different states and against great talent across the country is super cool. And I think one of the biggest goals and the biggest things that Coach Bielema talks to about us with our goals is going 1-0 each day, just taking one day at a time and making sure we're winning each and every day, so that we're stacking days, so that we'll be successful down the line and where we need to be.
Yeah. So, have you had the chance to kind of skim over the schedule and kind of see all those opponents, new opponents, old opponents? Just have you kind of had some time to look at that a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, we'll play we'll travel across the country and play against Oregon at their stadium, which will be really a dream come true type deal. You grew up watching Oregon and seeing them win so many games and being in national championship games and being able to compete against them at a high level will be, second to none experience. And I'm so excited for that. And having some rematch games like Purdue and Penn State and Northwestern and Nebraska,
Yeah.
I'm stoked for those. And I'm just thankful that I'm able to play at that in this conference and at that level. I've always dreamed just to be able to be there.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be an exciting year, too, for y'all. So, lastly, we're just going to get into some quick hitters. Just a question, just whatever pops into your head first. Best teammate you've ever had?
Oh, my goodness.
If you can pinpoint one of them.
Let's go. Let's just say Nick Broker. He's
Nick Broker.
he hits all the points. He's funny. He was a great leader. He's a hard worker. I'll just say Nick Broker.
Okay. Favorite vacation you've been on?
We went to Cabo and ate some great food. And first time traveling across the country was really cool.
For sure. Favorite movie?
We grew up watching the Rocky series, the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
So I love Rocky too. Our dad really made sure we watched those movies as a kid, and I still love them to this day.
For sure. If you could eat dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. I feel like I think about this question a lot, but and that takes some time to think about. But just off the top of my head, LeBron's always been my hero.
For sure.
So
for sure.
I love watching him and things like that. But there's so many other people I feel like I could think about too.
Yeah. Favorite football memory up to this point?
I would probably say, we talked about it before, but the West Point game my senior year was a really cool game. For me, and being able to have that success was awesome.
Who would you say the best player you played against, like ever?
Me and Coach Jones were talking about this the other day. I think in high school, probably Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
He's playing with the Eagles now and was a Georgia legend. But at the college level, played against a lot of great players at Baylor. They had some great players, and played against Penn State this year, who will have some first rounders. So played against a lot of great players, and already in my first year at Illinois. So it's really fun to go against that talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's gonna cap it off for episode 5. Thanks for joining us, Luke. It was a pleasure, for sure. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So, just be in the comments. Let us know who you want to see on next on the Real Steel Pod. Yeah, that's all we got. See you soon.